Well, good morning. And of course, it's now time for the AM News right here on the show. I'm Noella Karaniali. Let's begin with our top story. And the Attorney General and the Ghana Bar Association are sharply divided over the integrity of the country's judiciary. Now, Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayine has accused the bar of abandoning its professional route, bowing to partisan politics and becoming self-serving. But GBA President Efwa Agate insists the removal of former Chief Justice Gertrude Tokonu was unfair, warning it undermines judicial independence. The clash played out at the opening of the association's annual conference in Wa. Rafiq Salam reports.
Dr. Dominic Ayine went in for the jugular, expressing his disappointment over what he described as the association's inconsistent advocacy and bias in addressing constitutional matters.
When in 2015, an Article 146 petition was received by the Chief Justice in relation to the former chairperson of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, Madam Loretta Lamke, the bar failed to speak out about process. In the run-up to the 2016 elections, the then opposition New Patriotic Party engaged the Electoral Commission in court battles over the voter identification system. This gave rise to the Abu Ramadan line of cases. Immediately upon assuming office in 2017, an Article 146 petition was filed for the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Mrs. Charlotte Osei, and her deputies from office. The bar saw no basis to speak out about compliance with due process. But in recent times, the bar found its voice when petitions based upon the same constitutionally defined procedures were brought in respect of the removal from office of the former Chief Justice, Mrs. Gertrude Tokonu. Ladies and gentlemen, the honest question we have to ask ourselves is, what changed?
He mooted the following as a way of bringing fairness, impartiality, and being the moral compass of the society.
As Lord Denning once wrote, and I quote, "Justice must be rooted in confidence, and confidence is destroyed when right-minded people go away thinking that the judge was biased." The same applies to the bar. Our authority as a profession depends on public confidence that we stand above the fray of narrow partisanship. Let us therefore be the conscience of the Republic, fearless when governments overreach, impartial when opposition agitates, and always faithful to the sovereignty of the people under the Constitution.
President of the Ghana Bar Association, Mrs. Efwa Agate's response to the Attorney General was quick. He has no qualms about the implementation of Article 146, but the process used.
The bar recognizes the fact that the power of removal can be exercised under Article 146, but the bar's major concern relates to the process. In the absence of specific rules of procedure, the sketchy process potentially lends itself to arbitrariness and a lack of fairness. Hence the bar's resolution on the matter, which was as follows. The Ghana Bar Association hereby also calls for the immediate enactment of clear and comprehensive regulations relating to matters under Article 146 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana to ensure transparency, accountability, and fairness in all proceedings involving Superior Court justice, particularly in the context of the impeachment or removal of such officers.
Well, away from Wa, let's take you to Kumasi, where traders affected by fire at the Idum Blue Light Market have welcomed a decision by the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly to allow them to rebuild the market. Now, a rampaging fire on March 21, 2025 torched the market as wares and structures housing the traders were destroyed in the fire, and a decision by city authorities to lead the rebuilding effort was met with strong resistance by the traders who insisted that they want to self-fund the reconstruction. Now, head of physical planning at KMA, Benjamin Ejenim Boateng, tells Joy News the assembly has reached an agreement to allow the traders to reconstruct the market pending an approval of technical drawings and specifications provided by authorities.
Hundreds of shops installed.
Mayor, the king has given green light to some of the few things that we can do. So currently what we are doing now, I think, of course, the site has been cleared. They are done with drains. And then we are trying to see how best we can have fire-resistant materials and fire prevention equipment as part of the design, so that in the event of any fire, the effect will be minimal. Yes. So currently, that's what I've engaged the traders severally. Almost every week, they are in my office. They want to go to site as quickly as possible. They are going to build it themselves. They've submitted a list of contractors, and we are discussing with them, and then we advise them as to which one they should pick for the reconstruction. Currently, my office is doing the designs, and then once we are done, we will give the work schedule to the contractors, and then they will come out with their own bills and materials that they are going to use.
The traders have welcomed the new arrangement by the city authority.
Assembly yani kumasi kropon bejana. Satama regional minister and
away from that, the coalition against Galamsey Ghana is piling pressure on President Mahama to immediately dismiss metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives, as well as police and investigative bureau commanders in areas where illegal mining is still rampant. For the coalition, the continued destruction of forests, rivers and farmlands is proof enough that these officials have either failed in their duty or are quietly aiding the menace. And there's more on this following report.
Convener of the Coalition Against Galamsey Ghana, Dr. Ken Ashigbe, says no official complete ignorance while water bodies are destroyed and farmlands dug up by excavators. He argues that if Galamsey persists under their watch, it reflects incompetence at best and complicit at worst.
Any MCE or DCE who has Galamsey still happening in their district or in municipality for incompetence, they should be investigated for complicity in these environmental crimes. The same should apply to the police and the National Investigative Bureau commanders in this district and municipalities. If they are still in there representing the president and Galamsey is still happening and we've not heard them screaming out loud for support, then they are either incompetent or complicit or both.
Meanwhile, Deputy CEO of the Environmental Protection Authority, Professor Michael Ayamba, rejected calls for a state of emergency, warning that deploying armed forces into mining communities could spark violent clashes rather than solve the problem.
It's easier said than done that declare state of emergency, go there with guns and shoot it. I can tell you everybody calling for the state of emergency.
They don't know what they are calling for.
They don't know what they are calling for because the cost of human life there is going to be enormous that we may not even, in the end Galamsey, we may end up having a conflict growing out of it.
Government spokesperson Phyllis Kwachi Ofosu has also challenged critics who claim Galamsey has worsened under President John Dramani Mahama to provide evidence. He insists government has rolled out several measures to curb the menace.
And even as we take steps to fight it, those who are engaged in it still find reason to go back. And some time ago I said that the Galamsey fight has to be an eternal fight. It was taken out of context to mean that we will never win it. But we have to maintain eternal vigilance. That is why, as part of the efforts going forward, all those places that have been reclaimed, the soldiers and the security forces won't leave. They will set up permanent camps to ensure that people don't come. At least the 44 forest reserves that were endangered. And all the riverine areas of Ghana will have permanent security presence to ensure that people do not come back. And that will be rolled out in the coming days.
The debate over how best to deal with Galamsey is far from over.
Now, since the reopening of basic schools, parents have voiced strong concerns over the rising cost of stationery and the expensive textbook being demanded by schools, particularly for pupils in the lower primary levels, with many questioning why young learners require such expensive learning materials. In response, the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, GES, Professor Ernest Kofi Davis, has assured parents that the issue will not be ignored. Now, speaking during a welcome back to school tour of selected basic schools in Cape Coast, Professor Davis pledged that GES will engage the relevant authorities to urgently address the matter and ease the pressure on parents. Abigail Esel Nkrumah has more in the following report.
Schools with poor infrastructure will be seeing transformation, as the Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Ernest Kofi Davis, has assured that the situation demands critical attention. On a tour to some basic schools in Cape Coast following the reopening of schools, Professor Davis revealed that a budget has already been prepared to cater for the infrastructural development in schools in dilapidated states.
What I saw, which I think we need to pay attention, and of course we are already paying attention, we've budgeted for, is the infrastructure. We need to improve the infrastructure. We need to make sure that the classroom space is improved to support 21st century learning. The good thing is that we've budgeted for CAPEX, including the schools that are under trees. So I'm hoping that the infrastructure situation will be improved so that we deliver the quality education the country is envisaging.
The Director General also mentioned engagements with concerned stakeholders regarding expensive school stationery. This follows several complaints made by parents over high cost of stationery demanded by schools, especially for students in lower primary.
The textbook discussion, I understand, has to do with reuse of textbooks. At GES, you know clearly that textbooks are reused. The issue has to do with private schools and quasi-private schools that might be taking advantage of the policy gap on the reuse of textbook. As I said this morning, we are going to have policy discussion between GES, NACA, and NASIA to look at how best we can solve this problem, because it doesn't make sense to me for parents to buy textbooks when they have textbooks that are fairly new, that are good, that could be used by other children. It doesn't make sense to me, especially when the curriculum hasn't changed. We need to have policy discussion between GES, NACA, the outfit responsible for approving textbooks.
From Cape Coast, Abigail Esel Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Now, the International Fund for Public Interest Media, IFPIM, has applauded Joy News for its stellar performance in sustaining public interest in journalism. Now, this comes during an official visit by the global CEO and a delegation from the Africa Region Office to the Multimedia Group. My colleague Jacqueline Ansomayebo has more in the following report.
Most news media outlets the world over are constrained by the cost of pursuing human interest stories. Though very impactful and result-oriented, the cost of producing and broadcasting such contents is capital-intensive and puts lots of strain on newsroom budgets. The situation eventually forces them to settle for the easy-go subjects everyone is clinged onto. This is where the International Fund for Public Interest Media comes in. It also helps to safeguard the editorial control of the news media against any external influence. As one of the beneficiaries of the fund, Joy News has increased its public interest content programming while building capacity of personnel to do same. Evans Mensah is senior news editor at Joy News.
is really what defines Joy News over the years. Public interest journalism is something that we take very seriously.
After almost 2 years, IFPIM check in to know at first hand what it is like at Joy News with your support.
I was also a journalist. I was also a broadcast journalist. Actually, I started my career as a journalist from school, and but now I work with IFPIM and supporting journalism across Africa and the Middle East as the regional director. So I'm really pleased to be here. You know, Joy News is our first and only, so far, grantee in Ghana.
Global CEO of IFPIM, Nishant Lawani, in the company of the delegation from the Africa and Middle East Regional Office, toured the business unit of the multimedia group.
Really insightful to look around your studios and to meet you all, so I appreciate it. We started working on it about 6 or 7 years ago and launched it 3 years ago in 2022. Since then, we've done 124 grants across more than 30 countries. We started because we found that there was a massive gap in supporting independent journalism, and that we want to radically increase the amount of money that's going to independent journalism, in particular across Africa and Asia and the Middle East and Latin America.
Chief Operating Officer of the Multimedia Group, Ken Ansah, said the support by IFPIM, particularly to Joy News, has been transformational and inspiring.
We've been doing impactful documentaries way along, but then now we are doing a lot more. We are producing a lot more, and now you are able to also measure the impact more clearly because of digital, and you can see the interventions that are coming and what differences those are making. Got better when we got the IFPIM partnership.
IFPIM expressed hope that they would get to see more intriguing results and impact during their next visit to Ghana. The team encouraged Joy News to sustain the gains. A report by Jacqueline Ansuma Yabua.
And that's it for the first belt of the news. But of course, Kojo Brace is on standby with the business update. I'm Noella Caranielli.
Let's start the business update with what's happening in the currency market. Chief Executive of the Chamber of Oil Marketing Companies, Dr. Riverson Opon, is calling on the government to review the pricing model for petroleum product. His appeal comes amid reports that fuel prices are set to go up at the pumps from today. Dr. Opon believes a review of the current pricing regime is necessary to cushion consumers and reduce the impact of future price hikes.
With where we are, you will know that we've moved from 17 to 10, and now we're back to 14. I believe the Ministry of Finance is looking at it, and the government should be concerned at this moment with certain policy or political decisions that were made, so that we can revisit some topics and also look at the pricing mechanism to see what variables within the pricing model the price breakdown could be taken out to make the oil, the crude oil product prices a bit affordable. And I'm very happy you mentioned utilities going up by 200%. And for me, We are waiting for the implementation. Once that is implemented, we are going to have a very strong discussion with the government of Ghana. Because we were told, and you are aware, that they didn't want to increase the utility bills, especially the electricity bill. And that's why the 1 cedi was added to the fuel price. So we are watching them.
Now, economist Professor Patrick Esuming has urged government to focus on strengthening key policies and implementing real sector measures to sustain both the economy and the city. His remarks come in the wake of a slowdown in remittance inflows, which he noted has not significantly affected the city's performance. He made these comments in an interview with Joy Business.
Cocoa has done well also. And of course, the fact that we've piled up a lot of gold reserves, all of that helps us. But you know that we can't keep doing that forever. And especially the gold price, who knows? If things improve elsewhere, the gold price could quickly come down. And then suddenly our strong reserve position will look weaker. So I think it's important that we start doing the real sector measures that will improve domestic production and domestic productivity, that ensure that the gains that the city has made become real and sustained. So ultimately, we need to begin to see the central bank or the government implement its real sector policies. The 24-hour economy has been its flagship policy. I think last week I was speaking to you, I said, we have to start implementing. And then we begin to see the fruits. And then if we're able to leverage that to build a more robust and resilient economy, then we will be on the way.
That's all in business updates, but let's wrap up with what's happening on the commodities market.